Welcome back, members of the Race Amity Club of North Andover here. This is our second video. I'm Mr. Sheehy, History Department Coordinator at North Andover and the Race Amity Club Advisor. Kick it over to Eamon, and he can introduce himself.
My name's Eamon O'Carroll. I'm a rising senior at North Andover High, and I've been a member of Race Amity for the past 2 years. Shruti?
Hello, I'm Shruti. I've also been at Race Amity for 2 years. I'm also a rising senior, and yeah, to project.
Hey guys, I'm Supraja Ganti. I'm also a rising senior at North Andover High, and I'm the president of Race Amity Club.
Nika? Hey guys, I'm Nika Schroff. I'm also a rising senior, and I've been a part of Race Amity for the past 2 years.
Welcome, everybody. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about how we can initiate a change in our classrooms and how we can start educating people. Because one of the things that we feel very strongly about is initiating change through education, through understanding, by kind of eliminating some of the stereotypes, some of the misperceptions that people have about certain topics, and that providing people with the tools to understand the historical context of certain events is really important. So this video is going to talk about how we as a community can improve the way we teach in our classrooms, things that you guys want in your classrooms, things like that. How can we kind of start initiating a change? Anybody could just jump on in.
Yeah, I guess I'll kick this off. I think that, as I've mentioned in our previous video, I think that having an open floor for discussion in classrooms and bringing up these conversations in classes according to a certain maybe literary curriculum or something would be a very good way to integrate it into classes. And just, I guess, also having these conversations earlier in an education system, so when kids are in elementary or preschool, kind of starting at a really young age, so that that immaturity factor that has also been brought up can be reduced to as low as possible.
And I think a key part of that is also trying to root out the biases that we have at such a young age. So an example in our big discussion yesterday that I had used was you teach young children about how Squanto and the Native Americans had helped the Pilgrims when they first got here. But the emphasis in those lessons is really more on the Pilgrims than anything else. Why aren't we teaching these children about the vast Native culture that was here? Why aren't we teaching them about the African kingdoms that existed prior to the beginning of the Atlantic slave trade? These things that are very European and American centric, this history system we have, we should really be teaching them more of a broad world view so they understand the foundation that our country and much of the world is built upon.
I definitely like that idea of starting early. I think racism is definitely taught, so I think if we do something earlier on in the elementary school and, like Eamon said, bring in more diversity in the curriculum, that's a good way to start, and then work our way into high school too, because I think obviously we can't share we can't force a bunch of things down to young kids, but I definitely think a lightened down version, just something that's different than just something more cultural, I'd say.
Or even just exposing kids. I mean, that's what we've done through the Race Amity Day. We've been working on developing some videos as a club on different aspects of people's culture, and I think that exposing kids to more kids, even adults, really could use these educational opportunities, if you will, to expand their knowledge base and their content base. And something that we talked about yesterday adults still are learning. I'm still learning. I mean, I've learned so much from all of you about your cultures, your perspectives. I think that having dialogues like this and creating videos is really a great way of expanding our horizons, regardless of age or whatever. Anika, you want to?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I know my parents, at least, like, it was different. It's different for them, so they don't necessarily understand how I feel or like how going to school is for me. Like, because I've faced like certain like stereotypes used against me of like an Indian American. So I feel like just having those dialogues with them and like explaining like what it's like, or like even of like what other people feel, could teach them a lot too. And I know like having simple dialogues like that might seem like small, but I think it would go a long way.
And another part of that is one of our classmates who's Asian brought this up yesterday, that there used to be a staff worker who was Asian also, and he really felt like they could relate to each other because it was, someone who looked like him and had experienced the same things that he had. And as of right now, there's very few people of color that are non-white that are staff members in the building. So whether or not you're for affirmative action or not, it's still important to remember that bringing more diversity into the staff will help to give kids someone they can relate to and to see themselves as potentially filling those roles later, instead of thinking, oh, the principal is supposed to be white because I've only ever seen a white person filling that role.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, like, if you're coming from like a certain culture and you're speaking about it, you can say a lot more about it because you understand it more. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think those are really, really good points. I just kind of want to connect back that to also what Mr. Sheehy said about kind of teachers also like adults still learning. I think that how can someone teach if maybe they don't know themselves, right? So I feel like teacher workshops would be really nice, like having someone either come in to kind of tell the teachers about them, like to give a holistic review or a holistic I guess viewpoint about certain time in history rather than just one point of view, or just having people come in and talk to a class. I think agreeing with what Eamon and Nika have said, just having that I guess firsthand perspective would be really, really helpful in having a deeper understanding of different cultures and different perspectives.
Definitely. To add on that, I feel like personally through Race Amity, I've learned a lot more about the Black community, because I know we went to the Race Amity conference this past year, and there were a couple Black speakers there, and then we also went to a separate one at Salem State. So I think that was really eye-opening for me, because it's not only about sharing my culture. I really like learning about other people's culture too, and getting that firsthand experience like heard to me. I think that was something that changed my perspective. And going back to the roundtable discussion, I know we're referencing that a lot, but someone mentioned a really good point on bringing in speakers to the school. So, and like bringing them into the auditorium. So whoever is interested can go and listen. And I think that's a really good idea.
So any last thoughts on this? Anything else we can do? I think you guys brought up some great points. I think we're going to continue this conversation moving forward with a lot of other people. I think we're going to continue to do things like this to really continue to have our dialogue and try to educate more and more people. So we thank you for being on with us today, and we'll be back at you soon.